I think, you know, I mean, I think going to Europe reasonably regularly is good. You know, travelling out of New Zealand is good, and I think most New Zealand artists find that, you know, artists on the broad spectrum find that they, not all of them, but, you know, I think a lot of people do find that they need a different sort of stimulus, because, yeah, New Zealand is fantastic, you know, I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. But there is a certain kind of removedness about it. And, yeah, kind of a laid-backness that sort of edges on apathy. And even between, you know, I really noticed it when I came from Australia, how much more laid back and almost apathetic people were here about politics and, you know, environmental concerns. And even though New Zealand's got the sort of the no nukes thing and all of that kind of stuff, it's different. And I missed that edge a lot when I first came to New Zealand, and I suppose I've just got used to it now. But I'm still aware of the fact that you know, I'm probably not the same artist here that I would have been if I'd stayed in Australia. I'm sure of that. I probably would have stayed a lot more political if I'd stayed in Australia, whereas I've kind of drifted away from that now.
What and who are your musical inspirations? That's kind of like, we're talking now, but, you know, maybe in the past also.
Yeah.
People who have really inspired you to be a musician.
That is such a hard question.
I mean, there'd be hundreds, I know.
Yeah. Well,
there's no kind of mentor in the music world or person you really look.
Well, there's, I mean, how could you not have been into, I spent a lot of time listening to Bob Dylan, you know, in my teens, in the 60s. And I think he was a huge influence, really, obviously, as he has been for so many songwriters, but yeah, and Joni Mitchell, of course, you know, she's the other major historical influence. As performers, sort of, you know, Joan Armatrading, I thought, was really one of the first, you know, gutsy,
powerful.
Not that I, you know, think of myself as being anything like Joan Armatrading, but I mean, definitely having her there, you know, was really important. And these days, well, I listen to so many different people, but, you know, people like Gillian Welsh and Paddy Larkin and Sean Colvin and, you know, all of that sort of, if you like, new wave of American female songwriters, you know, just, I mean, there are just so many of them. Where do you start and finish? But the fact that they're all out there doing their thing, you know, and you hear there's just so many great voices, great songs.
It's inspirational, isn't it?
Interesting things to say, and, you know, interesting ways of saying them. And they're all, you know, so involved in their craft as performers and writers, and yeah, knowing that all those people are out there and hearing them. It's great.
And the last question is maybe the hardest, I don't know, but what do you hear in your own music?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, what's the, well, as Robbie might say, you know, the sound of the sound. What's the sound of your sound? What is it that you would, how would you identify your music? What is it that you hear in it that is maybe different from the rest of the pack, or that is your special sound? And this is just talking about you, because I know you do a lot of music with Mark, and the two of you create a different kind of thing to your own song, and he does with his own music, but just your own music and the sound, your voice, your instrumentation, So it is quite an abstract question, really, but how would you describe the sound of your sound?
Well, it's the sort of thing I would actually, prefer someone else to
To write the review for you.
to say.
Okay, what have other people said about you? Start there.
Oh, I mean, people say, "Oh, you sound like all these different sort of people," and I go, "Oh, wow, amazing! Never thought I sounded like so and so or whatever." I really don't know the answer to that. I really don't know the answer to that question. It's like asking, it's like wanting to know what people get out of your music. I mean, you have to ask.
I suppose it's taking a step backwards and being objective and
I'm not very good
saying,
at that.
okay, what is it here is there a certain vulnerability? Is there a kind of powerful presence? What is it about me as a musician? What am I putting across here? What is it? And that's an analytical.
Yeah. I think if I, when I do stuff on my own, which I don't do very often, but when I do, I think maybe it's sort of like it's a real thing. Like I'm hoping that I'm sort of reflecting life back at the audience in some way that they can relate to. And the sound, I don't know. I've always found like describing music really difficult. How do you describe what you sound like?
Because that's another art too. That the description is a verbal.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of genre of the arts is critiquing and.
Yes. Yeah. I don't think it's easy for the artists to do that themselves, really. Well, I don't find it easy anyway.
Well, it's great having you sitting in front of the video, and I wish you all the best for all the new songs that are going down.
Thank
you guys.